Good afternoon. I will be speaking on the spectrum of exotropia cases. My case one, as you can see in this photograph, the girl is 15-year-old with vision of 6 by 6, both eyes, and in the primary position there is a evident exotropia. There is no evident A or B pattern, nor any weak overaction is seen. And the point to focus is that for distance the PPCTT values are around 55 prism diameters basin, and for near they are almost 45 to 48. And this shows that there is hardly a significant difference between the distance exo and near. The AC by A ratio is around 4.5 by the gradient method. And stereopsis, I like to highlight the stereopsis part, and I like to show the video in this particular case.
So here he is basically focusing on one aspect, that the near and distance difference you always have to see. And is it significant? If it is within 10 prisms, then we will consider still as near distance disparity is not significant. Stereopsis is another thing, especially in exotropes, it will help us in finding out when to operate.
This is a video of how we do the stereopsis testing for distance. We use the Randolph test for distance, and the patient is seated at a distance of around 3 meters. The charts, on these charts you can test the stereo acuity ranging from 60 seconds of arc to up to 400 seconds of arc. So we use Polaroid glasses. The patient has to get Polaroid glasses, and this is based on the lithographic principle. So this is the test which we generally do in all the cases of exotropia to test for distance stereo acuity.
Because the exotropes start manifesting earlier for distance, it's usually the stereopsis or distance which is affected first. So if you are able to assess the stereo acuity for distance, you will be able to find out if they are manifesting more than often. So even if you do not have a history from the parent that is more than 50% time, because they are not working mothers, they will not be able to give that thing mostly to us. A clinical test will tell us that this guy is manifesting more often and affecting the stereopsis.
Now in this patient, the random test for distance showed a reduced stereo acuity of around 400 seconds of arc. Another test that is routinely done for testing the distance stereo acuity is the FD2. Now FD2 is a common term which is generally used for Frisbee-Davis distance stereo test, in which we have generally 4 geometric figures on a translucent sheet fixed onto a transparent sheet with the help of these rods. These rods are graduated from 1 cm to 13.4 cm, and one of the rods is slightly shifted forward, and the patient is asked as to which figure is forward. And in this particular test, after the phenomena, we can make the patient at a distance of around 3 meters, 4 meters and 6 meters. And we can test the stereo acuity up to almost 5 seconds of arc. So these are the two tests generally used for distance stereo acuity, FD2 and the Randolph test. For near stereo acuity, we generally use the same, most of us must be doing the TNO or the Netherlands Organization test. And in this particular patient, it was slightly reduced around 120 seconds of arc.
So it shows that even from near, the stereopsis is getting affected. We should have intervened still earlier, before the stereopsis had already been affected.
So now with these findings of almost insignificant difference between the exotropia values of distance and near, we come to a diagnosis of basic exotropia deviation. Now what will be the plan? Will it be unilateral or bilateral? The ideal situation for such cases is to do a accession and section of the non-dominant eye. Although you can still do a enlargement of both the eyes, and in case the deviation is very large, you can go in for a MRI section, but that is a controversial thing. Now, what should be the aim? Whether we should go for a ortho or a over-correction or an under-correction. Now, in such cases, one should aim for a slight ISO of around 5 to 10 prism diopters in the immediate postoperative period.
So whenever we are dealing with children less than 5 or 6 years, then we will never overcorrect. It's only in 6 years plus or adults that we are suggesting that an overcorrection of 8 to 10 prisms should be built in the first post-op stage, in order to check the regression or recurrence of prism.
Now the second case shows again a very large angle of ISO in the primary position with hardly any difference in the up gaze and down gaze. This was a 20-year-old child with a mean visual acuity of 6 by 6 in both the eyes. Now the point to note is the PPCT values for distance were around 95, for 75 and for near were around 55 isomorphic. After doing the patch test and the plus 3 diameter test, again the PPCT for near was the same 55 isomorphic.
So what does it mean for the audience? What would it mean doing this test? Anybody? The diagnosis should be true divergence axis. So the attempt to find out is between a simulated divergence axis or a true divergence.
The AC by ratio in this particular case was normal by radian method, and stereopsis was absent by Randolph test, and for TNO also cross stereopsis was absent. So the diagnosis was divergence axis or true divergence axis at derivation. Now according to the plan in such cases, again whether it be a unilateral or a bilateral management, the ideal situation for such cases is to do a LR section of both the eyes. You can always add a MR section of the non-dominant eye, but it should ideally be avoided. Now what should be the aim? You should go for an ortho or a overcorrection in such cases. The aim ideally should be orthotropia or again same 5 to 10 or 8 to 10 example factors of usually immediate postoperative.
So here there is a little difference because it's a true divergence axis. We may have a problem of having an esotropia for near. Whenever we are correcting for the distance, there is a possibility that we may end up having an esotropia for near, and if it happens. So first thing is that we are trying to prevent that by doing a bilateral recession rather than doing an R and R in the eye, which is more productive of the esotropia. Secondly, if that happens, esotropia, you have to look for it. If there was a high AC by ratio, you could give bifocals. There could be near add given to check the esotropia for near. Otherwise, sometimes we may have to do a parthenization of the medial recti to check that if there is not a high AC by ratio. So in a true divergence axis, you have to be really careful not to have an over-correction of esotropia because for near it will be still worse.
Now another spectrum. Now again we have a patient, and this is a 22-year-old female. Visual acuity again 6/6 both the eyes. And now the point to notice that the PPCT values for distal was around 50 and for near was around 65. So as you can see in this particular case, the PPCT values are more for near, and even after doing a patch test and a plus 3 diopter test, the PPCT values for near remained at around 65% diopters. The AC by A ratio was on the slightly lower side, around 3 by gradient method. Stereopsis was absent by both Randolph as well as TNO. So the diagnosis in this particular case was convergence insufficiency exudation. Now such cases, what do you plan? You plan a unilateral or a bilateral? You plan both resection or resection. So ideally it is MR resection of both the eyes.
How many in the audience have done a primary MR resection? Raise hand. Oh, good. So that would be the indication. Is it? It was a convergence insufficiency type of exotropia. Now mind you, here you have to be careful. There is one situation known as a convergence insufficiency type of exotropia, and other is a fusional convergence insufficiency, which may affect anybody and maybe many of us. That means a basic deviation may be nothing, it may be even ortho, but there is a fusional convergence insufficiency. This is different from a convergence insufficiency type of exotropia, which is the measurement showing more exo for me. Is it? So that should be clarified whenever you have this situation, that we are not mixing up the two. If there is a pure fusional convergence insufficiency, you would require to give fusional exercise, and that should suffice. Mostly you will find that they will be okay with that. But if you have a true convergence insufficiency type of exotropia, you would require to operate or give prisms for me.
In such cases should be orthotropia or previous light anti-correction. Now this is the fourth spectrum of case, and here again you see a large exotropia in the primary position, and you notice a peculiar A pattern division, and if you notice the up gaze and the down gaze, there is an A pattern also.
Go back. And other thing which you should focus is what is happening in the adaptation. When the eye is adapting, there is a dipping down. There is a hypotropia of the adapting eye. Now that is indicating that there is a superior oblique overaction. So whenever you have an A pattern, first is you confirm that it's a true A pattern, and that will be the measurement and seeing that there is definitely more than 10% difference. Secondly, look clinically have a hypotrophy of the adducting arch, indicating a superior oblique overaction. Not all A patterns will have superior oblique overaction. So don't take it for granted that all A patterns will have superior oblique overaction. It's only about 80% of such cases which will have superior oblique overaction. Only those cases you will have to do a superior oblique deepening procedure. Otherwise, it may be a shifting of the horizontal vector that is being advocated for a A pattern.
In this particular slide, the measurements were 55 bosom diameters for distance. For near it was around 45 bosom diameters. The update was 50 bosom diameters and downgrade was 65.
So 15 bosom diameters, right?
So almost 50 bosom diameter distance. After patch test and plus the rapid test, the BPCD for near increased to 55, almost the same as for distance. And the AC by ratio in this particular case was on the higher side, around 8 by the gradient method. And stereopsis for distance showed around 200 seconds of arc. ENO was 120 seconds of arc. So with this we come to a diagnosis of pseudo-divergence excess type of exudation with the A pattern in this particular case. So the plan for a pseudo-divergence excess should be ideally a session and resection of the non-dominant eye, and for A pattern we do a PTS. The aim should be either aim for orthotropia or a slight progression of 8 to 10 bosom diameters in the immediate post-operative.
Thank you, Dr. Anand. So here we have presented a spectrum of exotropia. This is only to impress upon you that whenever you have an exodeviation, look into more details. What is the type of representation? Is it a near distance disparity that you are having? Is it an up and down disparity, A or B pattern that is there, because each one has to be targeted differently? Or is it that there is a high AC by A ratio? Many a time you may think that the AC by A ratio measurement is only done for esotropia. Even exotropia, the AC by A ratio measurement